Welcome everyone to lesson number 2 part 1 of this deep learning course series, and this lesson is about deployment, and we are getting started with that. And the objectives of this courses are following. I will discuss with you the guideline about how you can use the book to learn more about deep learning, and how you can use the forums and you can connect yourself with the community. Third thing is we will discuss about the applications developed by the students, and they have shared their work in the forums. Number 4 is how you can put the model into the production. And for this, before putting your model into the production, you have to learn about how you can gather the data and how you can clean the data. And there are some tricks. You should learn about notebook, which is significant to learn about navigation bar and other features of Jupyter notebook. And this lesson is from chapter number 2, and this lesson mainly focused with a lot of topics like pre-processing techniques and data augmentation and training and evaluation. So this is the highlight of the course. Just need to mention that we are remaking Fastai course, deep learning, practical deep learning 2022, with some additional stuff, detailed stuff I'm adding here. And this one is based upon the lesson number 2 of the original course, and some useful links which are from 1 to 13. Obviously all the links are useful, but I would recommend everyone, if you want to download this slide and the notes of this lesson, you can go to the link number 1 of the resource section, and there are some useful links as well. So this is the detailed outline of this video, and these are the resource sections. This one is a drive link, and which contains notes and slides. I have put this link into the description of this video as well. You can find it out. And let me show you first of all about the website I have developed here. So this is the website about this course, this lecture series. In this you can see the part number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the lesson number 1. The links are here, and the part number 1 of lesson number 2. And I have also mentioned the detail over here, and you can even, for example, go here and check out the slide number 1 part 1 of the lesson number 2, and here also a notes which has been developed by me. You can check it out. Well, so let us not waste our time and directly go to start with the part number 1, lesson number 2. And there has been really cool stuff we are going to discuss in this lesson. And usually production of deep learning hasn't been discussed in the courses like this, and I'm very excited about discussing this kind of things. And Jeremy said that this lesson feels like going back to the early days. So first I will discuss about the book. Remember, you can buy this book from the Amazon, and there are in this way you can see the information in the different ways. The third thing over here is if you want to learn about the free lesson of the book, you can do it two ways. One way is you can go to the GitHub link, which is the fast book over here. You can search github.com fastai/fastbook, where you can download all the notebooks of the book. And the second way is you can open the notebooks in a Google Colab. So for this, like, you have to go course20.fast.ai and start Colab. So this is the link for that. And remember, like in the book, like you can learn about the history of other kind of stuff, history about neural network, the stories of the people who contributed to this field, and there are quizzes as well in the book. And let me show you first. So for example, you can go to course 20 fast AI, and this contains, if you go to the Colab, and this contains the chapter introduction to Jupyter, chapter number 1, chapter number 2. If you click here and open in the new tab, you can see the chapter number 1 will be open in Google Colab. So you can learn from here as well. It's very handy, I would say, and very easy to use. Third thing is, there is a site which is specifically discusses about AI quizzes, and about this book as well. It uses repetitive based learning techniques to make sure that you never forget about deep learning stuff, and the different form of book, and nicely curated. So Jeremy actually recommended this, and probably it is developed by one of the student of Fastai. So what you can do is you can search aiquizzes.com, and you can take part in the quizzes as well. Well, let me show you something which is very useful. You can see there is a link mentioned in the slide as well. There is this link I have mentioned in the resource section, so you can click from here as well. Well, second thing which is very important, like how to use forums to get more information, to find more resources and Kaggle stuff and notebooks, and it contains a lot of information. And one of the important thing is every lesson has an official topic in a forums, and it contains more details, and people have a lot of replies to the lesson number 1. We will see it. And one of the best feature of the forum is, like, you can summarize the topics. So for example, there was a lesson number 1, and there are like a lot of people who replied to this lesson, and there is a button which is summarize the topic. So you can see the more the post that has more likes, and there are like a lot of votes in the post like this. So summarize the topic will help you find the useful information. So after the few days of the launching of the course, there were like a lot of replies. So in this case, we were having 144 replies, and there is a button called summarize here, and then you will see the more liked post, and this is very nice feature, the most upvoted post, to check out the important information. So I will go to forums.fast.ai, and if you will search here, it's lesson 1 official topic. If we will see, so this is lesson number 1 official topic, so it will search for you lesson number 1 official topic, and if you will enter press, it will bring the topic for you. Here you can see there is a recording and notebooks for a bird classification system, and the book free version and published version in Amazon, and there are like solutions of the quizzes as well, other stuff which has been discussed in the lesson number 1. And if you will click here, so now you can see that there are like 375 replies to this official topic. So what we can do is you can summarize it by clicking here, and there are like 7 words in this post. You can see it is useful, 13 likes here, and you can see the comments of the people and the work related to the lesson number 1 in this case. Well, let's go back to our notes. The third thing is okay, so in the lesson what Jeremy discussed is after you press the summarize the topic, so you will see there are like kind of interesting posts by Sanyam and Tanishq. Jeremy said that they are legends, and so they have discussed some useful things about that topic, and you can check it out particularly. So let me check it for you, why not? Sanyam and Tanishq. So this is Tanishq, and he has done this work, you can check out. And there is Sanyam here, is the one of the leader. So you can check out their work, it would be useful for you, and it is very important for you to learn about how to use the forums. So there is another thing in the forums which are like share your work, which we discussed in the previous videos as well. So if you will click here, share your work, I think you first have to go to forums at fast.ai, and then you will see share your work. So here it is, the part 1 2022, and this one is part 1 2019. So I will click here, and you can see there are like lot of replies and lot of views, and 202 users, 2.2k likes, 50 links, and you can summarize it. So first of the thing which has been discussed here is about damaged car classifier. Damaged car classifier. So here we can so there were like posts like this. We have some screenshots here in the notes as well. So so Jeremy said that we were having a trouble deciding which one to share because all are good, so we have picked the first the one which have been posted earlier, and one of them is car classification system. So it has been shared by one of the student of Fastai, a classifier that could identify the damaged car. And so so the Matt who is creator of this code is saying that he don't know how actually codes work, but he made some changes to classify damaged cars, and he is acting upon the Jeremy advice. And the next post is this one, and it is developed by Niazi Kamer, and it is a kind of fast pages blog post. You can find it in the share your work in the forums. Another application developed by another student who is creating a beard classification system, and this is really very interesting application, I would say. A person who has beard will be classified differently, a beard detector, you can say, the kind of. So and this one is the whole web application in production, and it is developed by Swash, and who put extra effort from the few years, and you can do it in the one day as well. And this is the application in the production, and in this lecture series of lesson 2 you can do it as well. So let's check out first of all how you can find these applications in share your work folder. And I will go here forums. If you go here forums.fast.ai and you will click here share your work, and you have to select 2022. And when you will go here, you can check out there are like applications developed by different people, and this is the class car damage classifier, as we discussed before, by Matt Rosinski. And there is another application which is there is a blog post, and there is a application, the whole application in production by Swash. What I would suggest to you, like if you want to check it out, click here. There is a fastpages blog post, check it out as well. And this is the application, and you can check in the form of blog, and there is a code here, and it has been hosted in Hugging Face. And if you want to use this application, you will click here. And remember, this is on 27 April. You can find it maybe if you are watching this video after 1 year, so you can find out through the date. So if I will click here, and this will, yeah, this is classifying the images, so you can upload your images as well. You will click here and choose the images from your directory, and you can host it as well. So there are like 3 applications we discussed, and the goal of this lesson number 2 series is to create this kind of application, the whole in production, and so people can use it. So before putting your application into the production, into web app, the first step is like we have to find data, and we have to collect the data. So these are the first 2 steps. So think about like what kind of application you have to develop, what kind of input and output you are expecting, and according to that you have to find data from online, or you will gather data if it is a new application and nobody have worked on it. Second step is a production. For a production you have to do a pre-processing, which is cleaning the data. For this, like you have to go to chapter number 2, and you have to go, if you are using free version of the Fastbook, you will search in the GitHub, and you can find the Fastbook free version, and then you will click to lesson number 2. And there is another thing, you can open this notebook series in Colab as well. I will show you in a moment, and it is all about like putting stuff into the production, and this chapter 2 is all about that. For example, if you are classifying bird class, if you are making a classifier which is a bird detector or beer detector, you can put whole your data into the whole your application into the production. Remember, if you want to run this cells, you have to press Shift plus Enter from a keyboard to run it. And before discussing about chapter 2, I would tell you some features of Python notebook. So check out, so there is a click of navigation here. You will find out in the Jeremy's lesson there is a navigation tab here, and it will show all the topics and subtopics of chapter number 2. So for example, if you will see here, there is a topic, the practice of deep learning, and there is a subtopic which is starting your project. And if you will click here, you will directly go to the topic where your required topic. So if you want to, like for example, gather data, so you can click here and you can go to the topic. After you will click here to gather data, we will do a quick review, and a lot of people are asking about before we do create an application into production, we will do some revisions about, we will do some revisions, and we will see some tricks about notebook. So the nice one is the navigation menu. As I showed you here, there is a navigation menu. This is one of the trick, one of the feature of Python notebook. And if it does not appear into your notebook, so what we can do is you have to install the extension. To install the navigation menu, you will search in a Google Jupyter Notebook extension. So as you can see here, there is a Jupyter Notebook extension, and click to the link, the first link, and after you will click to the website, you will see this page. Like make sure you are using the latest notebook extensions, so make sure you have installed it. And there are like in this page you will find these commands to install in the bash. After this, you will restart your Jupyter notebook, and Colab. If you are using Google Colab, this feature is already available there. So now go to the website. So I will show you a quick tutorial in a moment, and before this, let me discuss you with something. So when you will open your Jupyter notebook, you will see there is a notebook extension tab, and you will click here, and you will go to this one, and there is a collapse heading, and there is a table of contents as well. You can find it out. And what table of content is, it will show you a kind of menu with the topics and subtopics of particular notebook. We will check it out. So let's first of all, let me tell you how you can install the free version. So first you will need to go here, Colab, and not Colab, GitHub, and Fastbook, Fastai/Fastbook. You will go here, and if you want to open the lesson, you can do in that way. So you can click here. If you want to open it in Colab, you will click here, and you will see the whole notebook in Google Colab format. And Colab has this collapse headings as well already. And as Colab has already these kind of features, so you don't need to install Jupyter Notebook extensions because it is already present here. So what you will do is you will download zip file. You will click here, and this zip file contains the whole book in Jupyter Notebook format. I have already installed it. So what I will do after this, I will click here, Jupyter Notebook, because this file has already installed in my directory. So I will show you into my downloads, and there is a Control F, Fastbook master here, and I have this book already here installed in my directory. You will click here, and this is the chapter number 2 will be opened in your tab. Okay, so the next thing what you will do is, because here as you can look, I haven't seen a navigation menu here. What I will do is I will search in a Google Jupyter Notebook extensions. You will click here. I think this is an official. We have to go to the official one. This one is official, I think so. Yeah, so this one is on official. What you will do is you will read this doc file, documentation, and if you want to install, you can open a new window of bash and you will click here and it will install Jupyter Notebook extensions for you. Well, it is being installed, and let me show you other things. Okay, so once you will install, once you will do the setup, the next thing is we will learn about this chapter number 2 contains discussion about peer classification system, and there is one thing in this chapter so because I have installed the previous version of Fastbook, there is something you will see in here. For example, there are like some updates. So you will see when you will install, you will see there is a search images bank, and this needed to be changed with DDG, and there are like few updates we will not discuss here, but just to let you know, this one is the previous version of the book, but there are some few updates which has been discussed here, and there would be a separate tutorial in which I will update this fast book chapter number 2 kind of functions, so you can run this without changing anything. So first of all, what you will need to do is you have to learn about what are the changes in the new version of the book. So there was Bing API which was used to search images, but this has been replaced with DDG. So there was like search images / Bing in the previous version, but now it has been changed with DDG. Why we have done this? Because Bing search images being required a key from Azure or different cloud kind of data for different cloud, for example Azure, and we have sorted out that with this new update you don't need any key in this case if you will use DDG. So you don't need a application program interface key to search images, so it would be free, a kind of easy for you. And there will be and this will be shared in the next lesson, in the next part. The new update of the chapter number 2 will be shared to the next part of the course, this lecture series, and you can find also in the forums as well. So let me tell you a bit about chapter number 2 first. In the gathering data sections, if you will see here, there is beer classification example. We can search things we can search beer images by just replacing this grizzly to bird. Previously we did with the bird, but we can change with the grizzly bear to download images. Okay, so there is a fifth point here. You can see the visualization as we did in bird classification system, and the sixth point is that there are like some types of bears, which is grizzly, black, and teddy bear, and here you can specify the 3 types of the bear. And previously we were having bird versus first classification, and this has been changed now. And the next step is there is a verify images function which kind of finding a corrupt images for you and delete the corrupt data for you. And there is one feature of Jupyter Notebook is to learn about how you can what functions do what kind of things inside. So for example, there are like 3 things: a question mark, double question marks, and docs. What you will do is, for example, if you will put double question mark in the functions, for example, verify images, as previously we used it, what it does, it will show you. So it is a kind of function, and the function has this definition. So this is a definition of the function. One thing, like if you will put two question mark, you will get a source code, and if you will put single question mark, you will see the summary of the images. For example, here we have put one question mark, and you will see the summary of images. So there is another thing, which is doc verify images. It will directly put you make you go to this website. If you will click here, you will go to the website, and you will see the definition of verification of the images. And so for example, if you will click here, you will directly go to this source code, and if you will click to the source, so for example, if you will click to the source, you will directly go to the source function. So I will show it how you can check it out, how you can find out more details about the functions we are using in FastAI, if you are interested. And the next thing is, when you will go to the source code, you can also see the definitions of other functions inside that functions. For example, there is a function verify images, and it contains other functions. Here it is verify image. So you can, if you will click here, you can directly jump to the definition of the image. So let me show you how you can do it. So first of all, this is my notebook, and there is import function, and my doc function is not working, I think so. So first what you will do is, yeah, it's working. So first you will do is, you will click here to see the summary. So there is a summary of verify images. If you will double click here, you will see the more in details the definition of verify images, what is inside the function, what is the function inside verify images doing. So what are the actual code actually in this case. If you will click here, show in docs, you will directly jump to verify images, and there is a source button here. If you will click here, you will go to the GitHub, and in the GitHub you have this verify images, and it is this function, and there is another function inside that function. If you want to explore it, you can even look that. So I will directly jump to verify image. You can look. So this is the function. If you know a bit about Python, you will know how it works. Well, previously it was not working, so I would suggest everyone to make sure you have installed IPython widgets, pip install, and notebook extensions as well. I think widgets, you have to install widgets. So let's check out if notebook extensions are installed. Yeah, the notebook extensions are installed, and click on Jupyter notebook. So as previously we have installed, I showed you Jupyter notebook extensions, and we will run it again and check it out if it is working or not. This is the first time I'm doing here in this lecture. So there is a notebook extensions here. Yeah, find it out, but it's not completely working, I think. Well, Let's see. And if I will go to Facebook, so there is a Facebook master. Okay, let's leave it. I think what you need to do is you will first install. So there is a downloads, and there is this fast master, and you will click open, and there is a fastbook in the Jupyter notebook version, and if you will refresh it, you can say click on last modified, and there is a fastbook master, and there is a 2, and there is no navigation menu because of some versions problem maybe, or browser problem. I can check out, I can open it in another browser and let's check it if it is working. Okay, so there is no navigation menu because of some dependency problem, so you don't need to worry about. If you have some issues, you can sort it out later. Well, so let's jump into our lesson. Okay, so let's get back to the step number 2, which is cleaning the data, and there are some different resize methods we will discuss here. And surprising thing is, in this case, we will first train the data before cleaning it, and it's typically a different approach what you probably heard, because like you probably heard in your, if you are taking some other machine learning courses or deep learning courses, you heard about like you have to clean the data before training it. But we are not doing this, we are doing the opposite. So we will start first by building a data block, and then we will see batching of the data block, and we will train the model, and then we will clean the data. So here you can see is we are having, as I said, that we are having peer classification system, and first we created a data block which contains image block and category block we are having, and we so there is get images files to how to get images, a function kind of, and there is a random splitter of validation and training data set, and how to assign cat y is parent label, so parent directory is a label. You don't need to worry about what actually happens here. So there is an item transformation which is just resizing the images, but we will learn about different resizing method, and I will show it in a moment. And if you have to, the next thing is beers.data loaders. You will give a path of the files to load the images, and then you can see the validation batches in the validation data set. And here there is a one method which is so after you will see the validation images, if you want to change the resize method, what you will do is beers is equals to beers.new, and item transformation has been changed with resizing 128 cross 128, and resize method is squish. So with the squish you will see these images are converted like this, will look like this. And there is another method which is called cropping method, and we will not use in this case, because if you are using cropping in image classification system, you will probably lose the features. So there are like some application in which you will use the resize method crop, but we are not using cropping method in this case. Another resize method is padding. with the pad is equals to 0, what it does is, so you will change resize method.squish to resize method.pad, and pad is equals to 0 means the color would be black. If you will, I think, make it, you can make it white by once with a different color. So if you will, I think pad mode is equals to once, you will see a white here. So this is like 0 means like this would be converted to this kind of images, which is with the padding. Another resize method is random resize cropped. Instead of saying resize, if we do that, we will have different modes of resize. So this is actually one mode, which is padding is equals to 0, but random resize crop is creating images with a different kind of resize method. So someone in the forums wanted to recognize, there is one application for this one. Someone in the forums wanted to recognize the pictures of German French text. It was just experiment. So they were having a big scans of the documents. So pics were too big, and the suggested method, resize method, was in this case was resize crop. So you have to think about, according to the application, you will use different resize methods. So you have to think about this. So there is a demo here, like if beers will be randomly resized crop and minimum scale is 0.3, you will see the images would look like this, with some cropping, and you can see you can lose the features because because this one is cropped and this one may be squished, not squished actually. This one may be with a different kind of cropping from the different angle. So in this case, we are losing another eye of the bear. So bear should have two eyes, but you can lose features in this case. You can run one suggested thing in this case is if you are running lot of epochs to get slightly different images each time. So for example, if you're training this model, and for each epoch there would be different resize cropping method will be implemented in each iteration of training. So this method for each time will get the different pics from the same image. So for example, in the first epoch, this image, while training, this image looked like this, but in the second epoch, this image, the same image, will be different because it is a random resized, and it will get a different kind of angle of cropping in the next iteration. So I hope like you understood. So the method for each time get different images from the same images is called data augmentation. And what is data augmentation? So we can add another feature, which previously we learned about what different resize methods are available, and now we are learning about what is data augmentation thing. We are not going to look in details about data augmentation. So what you will do is you can use data augmentation in that way. For example, for each batch you will use augmentation, transform, and multiplication of 2. What it does is, why we use 2, because you can see the different resizing method and the same images in the different way. So for example, in a squished, recolored, trapped, or saturated way of a resizing method. So what it does is it will create the same images and it will show the images in the different ways. Augmentation multiplication 2 is one image with the two different variants of that image with the resize methods. So if you are training for more than about 5 or 10 epochs, you will probably want to do most of the things, unless the problem is super easy. So then you don't put multiplication of 2, because you are training for more than 10 epochs. This is a suggestion by Jeremy. So there was one question in the forum that with the data augmentation, are we copying the image? Actually, we are not actually copying the image. What happens is every image get reads for each epoch once. So this data augmentation is in RAM process. So for example, wrapped, or if you're recoloring the images, it is a real-time process that happens during the training. So no copies is being stored in your hard disk, but the model see many copies during the training process. So now we are going to use data block, random resized crop, and augmentation transformation technique here. So there is a random resized crop thing for this model, and there is augmentation transform thing for the beers as well, and then we reload the images from the path. So the next thing is training the model. It is the same as BERT classification system as we have seen in BERT detection system, which is vision learner and with the DLS past, and there is a matrix which is error rate, and you can use the fine tune here. And the last thing is confusion matrix. So you will use the confusion matrix for evaluation purpose. So here there is a function to create a confusion matrix after the training. So what you will do is this confusion matrix are used to evaluate categorical type of data. So we can first see what it does. Is it is a good way to visualize categorical errors. For example, the third point, which is about this one, is if you analyze this, there are like 2 times the model predicted black. The actual one is grizzly. As you can see actual here, the grizzly bear was predicted as black. And there was another thing, which is a fourth point. There was 2 times a model predicted grizzly as a black, and the rest are fine. So this is a kind of confusion matrix which is used to evaluate your model. So this is all about this lesson number 2 and part 1. In the next lesson, I will show you the notebook with a modified version of chapter number 2, and we will actually run this application, and I will share the link in the lesson number 2 part number 2 video. So I will show you later on. And thank you so much for watching these videos. If you like this video, you can subscribe the channel, and you can look to the resources, and there is also a website you can download these notes as well with the slides. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.